everybody. Welcome to this second collaborative episode with the Black Pulse Inspired. Today, we are talking everything pregnancy and the birth of a newborn into the family. How does it affect men? How does it affect women? And how does it affect the family in general? To have this conversation, we have Patience, Ebai, and Marilyn, who is going to be joining us virtually. So, welcome again, and we hope you enjoy this conversation. Hi, ladies.
Thank you.
Hi.
How are you guys?
We are doing good. Yourselves?
Good, thank you. Um, this is an interesting topic. It's been a long time coming,
Right.
and I feel like I've been guilted to make it sound like I I forced this conversation to happen, but that's not the case. But nonetheless, I think it's something interesting, and it's important that we have this conversation to understand this very delicate moment in the life of mothers, children, fathers, the family in general. And I'm sure you guys share that it's quite necessary too.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Very important that we talk about those things because when left unchecked, a lot of things can go wrong with the process, and us even opening up to talk about is helpful. And thank you for bringing up the topic for us to discuss. So.
Interesting. It's fair to say that a lot of these changes are experienced by women mostly. Not to say that men do not experience changes with the birth of a child, but women carry pregnancy for 9 months. Women are generally responsible for raising children and others. So the burden of raising children is usually on the woman. I think that's a fair statement to make. So I want us to take the conversations in terms of what are the physical changes that you guys feel? What are the emotional changes? I know that's kind of linked to the hormonal changes that come with pregnancy. I feel like that's a good way to break down the conversation so that we're not mixing up things, right?
Sure.
But before we get to talking about the baby coming, I guess my question was, what is the primary goal of a marriage or common law relationship? Is it fair to say that people get into these relationships because they want to have children?
Would you want to go with that first?
Yes, I will. So, in my humble opinion, I want to say it depends on the couple, whether in a common law relationship or in a marriage. But I do know that there are expectations, right?
Yeah.
But it boils down to what the couple wants, because we've got lots of couples out here that don't want children, and I think that if if it's a consensual decision, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
But us coming from the African background, we know that people come together because they want to build a family. That's the expectation from the family, and I don't want to look at what the couple is talking about, but it's an expectation that when you get into a marriage,
Yeah.
children are expected even before a year elapsed.
Yeah.
So that is it. But if you want to ask my opinion, it's still up to the couple to decide if they want children in a marriage or not. Not depending on what the society expects from them, not depending on the family expectation, just it depends on their decision if they want a child or not.
And it's a conversation that they want to have in the beginning
Right.
before they get into
I
a
think it's
commitment.
an important conversation to
It's
have.
very important
Yeah.
that you ask, is it something you're looking into,
Yeah.
having kids?
Yeah.
They tell you, yes, I am. Then they go to the how many would you like? Then we discuss
Yeah.
then. Doesn't matter, things will not change when we start going into the relationship. But it's important to know the numbers because when you get married, it's not the end.
Yeah.
You want to continue with your own life as well as the man you want to they want to continue with their own lives.
Right.
So if we are saying we're going to have 3 kids, then we have 3 kids.
Yeah.
If it changes, fine. Mistakes could happen. And the 4th one comes in, we will not deny that
Right.
one. So to me, it's something to have a conversation in the beginning
Yeah.
before you commit to that.
Yeah.
There could be errors. We could say, no, we don't want kids now, but the kids come.
Yeah.
How do we welcome those
Yeah.
unforeseen circumstances?
Yeah.
That's when the issues start happening.
Yeah.
So I want to be a little personal. Did any of you have that conversation before you got married, or did you have that conversation in your marriages?
I had a conversation about the number.
Before you got married.
Before I got married.
So
Wow.
you assumed that kids were something that
part of
had
that.
to happen.
it was
So you
something
just
that
worried about a number.
I wasn't worried about the number. It's a conversation you're having. You're not like, oh, today let's talk about kids. When you're chatting
Yeah.
with the man you're you're bringing up
All
those
those things, yeah.
those circumstances
Yeah.
that could happen.
Right.
Because as she mentioned, back home we get married to especially have kids.
Yeah.
So me getting married, I want to have kids, and it doesn't matter want to have kids as well.
Yeah.
We are just having a casual
Conversation,
conversation,
yeah.
so that it just flows like easily.
I don't know if people like. What's the point of getting married if you don't want to have kids?
Yeah, for me, like, I will answer the question from a song, actually. Like, my first one wasn't discussed.
Yeah.
And it was still like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and then it happened. So there was no conversation.
Yeah.
It was not like we were ready.
Mm-hmm.
From the beginning, he was ready, but then by the time I got to the second trimester, he wasn't ready
Yeah.
anymore. So
Yeah.
things do happen,
Yeah.
right? And but because I did think that I was at the age where I could have kids, I didn't know how I was gonna handle that. I was really far away from home at that time. But I had a conversation with my older brother, and my older brother said, "You already have a bachelor degree. I don't think it's time for you to start thinking if it's the right time to have kids or not. Kids are a blessing. Why not?" So,
Yeah.
I won't tell you that was easy.
Yeah.
It wasn't, but my mind was made up to have my kid, and I had her, and I'm happy
Yes,
that I
yes.
had her today.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I did not have that conversation again because I assumed that the only reason I was looking for
A wife.
getting to plan a wedding or getting married
Was to have children.
was-
because I
children.
knew that kids require some level of stability.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is why I got married. I wanted whatever kids I was having. I've already made the assumptions that I'm having kids.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that conversation because I was assuming that she too was getting into this marriage because
Yeah.
she wanted kids as well. Because there's no point.
Yeah.
For me, there's no point tying yourself to one person if you were
If you're
not
not having
planning
kids, yeah.
on having a good structure for kids. So that conversation only happened. We had a conversation about children, but we only had that conversation after the wedding, and it was about how many kids do you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know that many people, maybe many people do, but for me,
Yeah.
it wasn't a conversation that I had.
Again,
But-
I don't think there's a point getting married if you're not going to have children.
I do think,
Right.
sometimes we say in everything there are exceptions, right?
Yeah.
There are people that will not be very comfortable having that conversation with you. That, like, it for them, they will not have that conversation because they know that maybe your expectation getting married is because you want to build a family.
Right.
But they have their reasons well kept to them because they know if they express that to you, maybe you will not be interested
Yeah.
to get married to them, right? I know an example of somebody that actually got married, never told the wife that he had, what did they call it?
Impotent.
Hexotomy or the
Vasectomy.
vasectomy. Yes. And she was struggling so hard, feeling so guilty of the fact that she wasn't. And he never for a single day told her, but his
That man
sister,
is evil.
yeah,
That's very
his
evil.
sister actually called her and said, he had that.
That's very terrible.
Ask him. And that was the end of the marriage. She
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
even explain to him why she was leaving. She took a flight from Minnesota, went to a completely different city,
It's
and
very
just continued
important
her,
for us to
her
have the
life.
conversation
Yeah.
in the beginning.
So it's
because-
important.
Yeah.
And it's so terrible that people will lie with something so essential.
And he did it it was
Yeah.
intentional. Did not want to tell her because she was way younger than him.
Yeah.
He did not want kids, but her expectation getting into a marriage was
Yeah,
that
was
she
to
wanted
have
kids.
yeah.
So
Because there's a lot of other things about kids. My husband was informed, so I had to do a test
Mhm.
on the compatibility of the
Right.
blood cells and stuff. I
Sickle
did that
cell, yeah.
test. I did that before I brought the test out so that we are aware of what we're expecting and
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
Right.
It's very important that if you have the opportunity to do it,
Yeah.
please
Do it. Yeah.
do it. There could be mistakes happen. You were not ready.
Yeah.
It just happened,
Yeah.
and you welcomed it
Yeah.
and accepted it, even though the guy wasn't ready
Yeah.
because that's a big commitment.
Oh yeah. It is.
First, we think the kid comes. Second, am I going to get married now?
Yeah.
Because they have that mentality that when I have a child with you, it has to end with marriage,
Right.
and the man is not ready,
Yeah.
but he's doing the things that married people do.
Yeah.
And the result of his sperm going out and hitting the egg is a child.
It's a child, exactly.
So we better
Maybe
be
we'll
open
get
to-
Marilyn if she has
Yes.
something to say.
Thank you. I was just going to chip in what Bella said exactly, that sometimes the conversation does not happen, and then marriage comes from the first thing that happened, which is I don't carry Bella. And then everybody is trying to run around to see that it works. And then during the pregnancy, they actually find out that you guys are not compatible.
Right.
Probably the two of you are the genotype ASAS,
Right.
and you can have a sickle cell child,
Mm-hmm.
and everything goes haywire. The
Yeah.
guy is angry, the girl is angry. They
Right.
don't communicate because at that point in time,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the girl want to keep the child, maybe the man
Yeah,
want her
that's
to
right.
keep the child or want her to have the child. So it all starts with communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to each their own. There are
Mm-hmm.
unique situations, and every situation is kind of different.
Yeah.
Some of us grew up, and marriage was not what was on the agenda. Education was on your agenda. And as a young lady growing up in your 20s, you think that you're going to meet Prince Charming because that's what we were socialized to think.
Right.
Those that do go to school will have the hottest, the richest, and the bravest of boys come around them. But that's not always the case. I am not putting a nail in a coffin, but some really literate girls are married to some really illiterate men. And some really literate men are married to some really illiterate women.
I don't think
Not that
men
they did
care
not
though.
go to school. No, not that they did not go to school, but common sense and actually having a communication is far away from all of them.
Right.
So it makes them illiterate in an area.
Yeah.
So I am not discrediting them
Right.
educationally. So if I am that kind of a woman that does not even want that conversation, I don't even care about that conversation. I just care that you come, you pack your car, I get into the car, we go out, I eat, and I come back. And unfortunately, one day, as guys who put it, condom boss, I am pregnant. Then it's an eye opener. We have to have a conversation.
Right.
Do I keep it or do I not keep it? If I want to keep it, how are we moving forward?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
most times it doesn't always start with the guy being interested in you. It also starts with you lifting from one man to the other, then you get pregnant from one man for a man. Or a guy lifting with four babes, he has four side chicks,
Yeah.
and then one of them gets pregnant, then reality comes into play. I'm having a child.
Right.
What is it I want to have in my life?
Mm.
But on the other hand, there are some people who actually planned their life and said, I am going to get married when I'm settled, when I achieve this, when I achieve that. That is a man's thinking. And then they find a woman that is also at that point in life that wants to get married. And we're socialized to knowing that marriage is one thing that comes with producing kids. That is why in our societies and our communities, when there is a marriage without kids, we start assuming
Yeah.
and start back digging. Why is that woman not having kids?
Yeah.
So I say that every situation is unique. But if I am to redo things in my personal life, I will opt to have a communication about marriage, about dating, about courtship, about where we are going to, about how many kids we want to have, about what blood tests we're going to do.
Yeah.
I would like to have that communication. It saves a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
So just coming back, so in conclusion, I think it's fair to agree that well, I don't know if it's we're agreeing on the question, but it feels like we all agree that those conversations need to happen. Now it needs to happen prior to even the decision to get married. It doesn't need to happen in the marriage.
Yeah.
It should happen before,
yeah.
right?
We don't want to assume.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't want to
And
assume.
I just want to add
No
that,
assumptions.
yeah, I just want to add that, like, it's really good we're having this conversation because, as Marilyn said, things happen.
Yeah.
A pregnancy happens. Like when I was pregnant with my daughter, I didn't think for a sec that I could go to the hospital, do a compatibility test
Right.
or whatever. I was focused on having a child, not
Yeah.
thinking what will be the outcome.
Well, to
But
be
you
fair-
already were pregnant, so
Yeah.
the child was
To be
coming
fair.
irrespective, right?
So this is just what I'm trying to say. Like when you talk about people going there, taking that test and trying to understand if you're compatible or not, I'm just saying I did not even think about that.
Right.
But you
But-
know what happens leading up to this situation? You're in love. Your eyes are clouded, and you guys are not really thinking about all these things. You're just laying down, and taking actions that in your mind you don't want to get pregnant, but those actions lead to pregnancy.
Yeah, the only disappointing thing for me was the fact that we had a conversation when I was pregnant, and by the time we even had the conversation, I was almost like 7 weeks
Yeah.
pregnant.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's when I realized I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then I had the conversation with him. I was like, "Oh, it's okay. We're not kids anymore. We could have a child anywhere." And then it happened, and then I think reality dawned on him that, oh,
You have to
this
be
is really
responsible for
happened. And
somebody.
he weighed his options, and he had to just leave like
Yeah.
that. And you know what? I said, for my mental health, for the sake of my baby, I was gonna stay calm,
Yeah.
stay focused,
Yeah.
and do what is responsible.
Yeah.
I did not want to panic, and
Yeah.
I really do thank God that my brother was there to support me through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course, having babies do come with big changes for both the, of course,
Oh,
for
yes.
both people, right? Very positive changes, I know, but also they have also, changes that are negative for both parties. But for now, I just want us to talk a little bit about some of the positives that come from having a newborn in the home.
We'd rather use challenges that come with having a baby.
No, we want to talk about the challenges later.
We talk about the challenges later.
Yeah,
About
I
the-
want us
the
to talk
blessings.
about the best, the blessings of having a
of
child,
having a
in the
baby.
home. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is always what is being praised before you even get pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The joy that it brings.
Mhm.
And we'll wait until we get to the challenges, then we
Yeah.
start talking about that. But we miss to talk about the challenges when they are pushing for you to have a baby.
Right.
We need the baby to run in the house, to keep the place warm, and people just ignore.
Mhm.
I'll go first. Okay.
She's focused
Bella-
on the challenges.
no.
It's like there's no positive. There's no positive. We're going to go to the
Because we
challenges.
always want to
but
talk about beauty.
I know.
Okay. So
Yeah.
for me though, you know what? Like from a culture,
Right.
I actually go back to the culture. A child is a blessing.
Right.
And that is why the expectation is always there. And that is why people don't think to have a conversation before marriage
Yeah.
about kids.
Yeah.
Because it's just an expectation that you're expected to have children. But at the same time, I just want to say for the couple especially, and I always use myself as an example, it was a different feeling for me. When I say feeling, was just the fact that you then realize how happy you become when you know that you're carrying another human.
Yeah.
The feeling is different,
Right.
especially not in the first trimester, but maybe the second or the third trimester when you start feel them kicking.
Yeah.
Like you start thinking to yourself, like, I can't wait to see you. I can't wait to
Yeah.
see the smile. I can't wait to like just hold you,
Right.
you know. And also most of the times, especially if your partner is that person that is always like, no, like just expecting and feeling the same things as you, right? It becomes really like
Yeah.
something that is magical. It's a magical feeling for me,
Yeah.
I will tell you.
Yeah.
And at that moment, when you get pregnant, like both of you, that's when it's actually like, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna become parents, and what else? We're gonna be proud.
Mhm.
What else? And at that time, you don't even think if it's gonna be a boy or a girl.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're carrying the baby
Yeah.
is
Makes you
already
happy.
a privilege. So for me, the feeling, like what I think it's magical. You're also thinking to yourself that like I'm meeting this expectation. You are the 1% at that time
Yeah.
of people that want to fall in that category of people having children, you know, especially because you're a couple,
Yeah.
and because you're meeting that expectation, and because you know that you're not gonna go under that pressure from both families
Yeah.
of having that kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a moment where it's magical at the same time. It's a moment where you think that it actually gives you a sense of accomplishment too, if I would say, as a woman, as a
Right.
man.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the stress of thinking that,
Yeah.
we've been trying too hard. So it just happens.
Yeah.
And you also feel blessed that it happened without you guys struggling.
Yeah.
So for me, that's how I look at that.
Yeah.
So for your relationship as couples, what does that do to your relationship?
Oh.
I'm looking at the positives. of that relationship. We know all the good,
Yes.
all the blessings and all the
Yeah.
that comes with baby. But I'm looking at how does that impact your relationship as a couple?
Yes.
And we're gonna get into details. here.
Yes, for me, I would tell you, it brought it brought I would say, it brought me and my husband even closer.
Oh.
When I say closer, is the fact that he started thinking that, oh, maybe her hormones are running high. Maybe she's having all this because of the pregnancy. He became very understanding.
Oh.
He was more willing to listen when
Oh.
I tried to explain stuff to
Yeah.
him. And even when I wanted him to do something, he did not hesitate like before. So sometimes for me it was spontaneous, and he became caring in a way that was beyond my expectation. Not that he wasn't expecting me to get
Yeah.
fat, but he expected me to eat healthy.
Right.
So most of the times when I told him about things that I would crave, he will not get me fries from McDonald's. He came back one time and told me there were no fries. And I was
Yeah.
like, are you serious? He said yes. So for me, it brought my relationship really close.
Yeah.
Our conversations actually changed.
Yeah.
Like we started talking about shopping. That's not a man's thing you talk about. No,
There we
it's
go.
true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we started
that's
talking
so
about
true.
shopping for the baby. He was excited to know what we were having. And, you know, it just became like a more caring relationship.
Yeah.
We became closer because he cared much, did not want me to do much at home, was helping out a lot more, and was willing to talk more about how I was feeling. So for me, that's what it did to my relationship.
Okay, Ebai,
There
then
is-
we'll go to Marilyn.
There is a positive
Oh, you thought of one
You-
finally.
because everything is for the good.
Marilyn is laughing.
Marilyn, everything is for the good of the relationship.
Right.
So we can, to me, I can't separate both.
Yeah.
You get to know me when I'm at my worst. I get to know you when you cannot handle something. So that is still a good
So
thing.
pregnancy makes you put women at your worst.
So pregnancy, sometimes not every woman will go through a smooth 9 months. I
Yeah.
went through a smooth 9 months.
Yeah.
Not every woman goes through a smooth 9 months. Then you begin to understand the woman at her
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah.
That is a good thing. That's a positive.
Yeah.
Now you begin to see your man how he adjusts with someone new coming. That's a good thing. Whether he's not smiling is a good thing because you see, oh, what else can I help you with? So that's a beautiful thing.
Interesting.
To me, what happened was my man is handy. He could do, like, he was like a woman. He grew up in a house where he did a lot of things. So he was the one shopping and sourcing for things that we could use. We were both students. He was sourcing for things that we could use. Before I come home, he has ordered everything. So to him, that was very easy.
Yeah.
I saw a man who is caring
Yeah.
for their babies before the baby is even there.
Yeah.
So I saw a different kind of him.
Yeah.
I haven't asked him what he saw in me then. Sorry. I haven't asked him what he saw in me. I might go home tonight and ask him
Yeah.
because it's a conversation the first time I'm having, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But it opens up a new environment for both of you to
grow.
really see each other in a different way. When she asked her husband to go get McDonald's and they brought something else, you see a man who
Were you
who would
mad?
go.
Were you mad that he didn't get you fries that you wanted?
I was.
Oh, okay.
You see a man who will go out and get it.
Yeah.
You see a man who will go extra miles to get you what you want.
Yeah.
It's not only because of the baby. You would also see that in other areas. So that's a beautiful thing. I
Well,
can't really
think it's
separate
because of
both.
the baby.
I'm gonna come back because of the baby, but you're carrying the baby.
Yeah, no, but you're caring more for the woman because she's carrying the baby.
Maybe that could help
Whatever
you
the case, he's still
elevate,
good.
rise in love and appreciation of
Yeah.
the man that you married. Maybe something was going on that, oh my God, this man, why did they get married? But he does that. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I should rethink what I'm thinking right
Yeah.
now. So everything is working for good. Maybe when we get to the challenges, then we
Yeah,
start
talk
talking
about
about that.
Yeah.
There's probably a
I-
lot of
but-
list.
Yes.
There was also, he became very patient.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna go to
So
Marilyn.
I'm gonna go
maybe.
to Marilyn and we'll
Pregnancy, once in you as a woman, once you get pregnant, you discover a new side of you and you discover a new side of your husband. When I was pregnant with my son, I was just done nursing school. It wasn't a planned pregnancy, it was a knockoff. So when it came to us discussing that I was pregnant, I think I was a little reluctant
Yeah.
because I could feel the changes. But then my husband at that time made a statement that meant that he was studying me as much as I was studying him. And the statement was that hi asking the warm so you the cold blooded peking.
I
I
know.
used to always feel cold, but now my body was warm.
Yeah.
My blood was rushing, and there was another human being that was making my blood rush. Then I said, I think I do belly, right? And then he's like, I thought as much because I am somebody else, which means that they try to know you in the process of a relationship. And as things grow, when another human being is coming into that relationship, they try to know how to adapt.
Right.
Just like Bella said, there are a lot of things that they will do with men will do without telling
Yeah.
us women. And then there are a lot of things that women will do for the house without telling a man. And we did not even have a lot of conversation around the baby because we came from a community that baby shower was the biggest thing they would do for you when you're pregnant. So
Mhm.
that was taken care of by the community.
Mhm.
But there were so many perks. Like they wouldn't want you to lift up. Like I used to go for grocery by myself, but it became a two people job.
Mm-hmm.
And we bonded more because we could choose some of the stuff that I would just go in there. I am a rushy kind of a person. I would just hurry up and get whatever because I just need it done. But when I went shopping with my late husband, I realized that he was more careful. He would be like, no, let's not take the things at the front of the rack. Let's look at the ones behind because the ones in front are almost close to the expiry date, which
Right.
was something I didn't pay attention to,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it gave both our eyes something new. I would be like, okay, where come on, go shopping, right? Because you did try, you go ahead, let me reach your back. I'm short, I'm pregnant, you're tall. So my royal highness, come and let's go so you can reach the things at the back of the shelf.
Right.
We had humor, we had so many things that we could talk about
Mhm.
that we normally did not talk about.
Yeah.
He would give up soccer practice to stay home with me, even though I wasn't puking, I would pretend to puke
You
because I
pretended.
valued that company. Yeah, I had an easy pregnancy.
Yeah.
But like the
So,
other
is it
lady
fair
said,
to
the
say you
exception,
manipulated him?
I'm not trying to say I manipulated
Well,
him.
but you
I'm
faked the
trying to say
puking,
that I love being pampered.
meaning that
I
you
love
fake
the
puking so you can
attention.
be pampered.
Yeah, I
So
love the
that's
attention
manipulation.
because it showed me
She's not
to some
I
extent
think
it
the
is good.
point Ghana is trying to make is that
You
because you
manipulated him.
wanted the comfort, you
Oh yeah,
sometimes had
for
to,
sure.
But this is not uncommon.
No.
Many women are very
No,
manipulative
no,
during
Ghana, you're
pregnancy.
not wrong.
They weaponize
Ghana, you're not
pregnancy.
wrong. Ghana, you're not wrong. In some
Yeah.
cases, right? My case was a little bit different. I will not say manipulate because we had a good relationship. If there is a bad relationship, though, if the man does not pay attention to the woman, she is pushed to manipulate him. I
Yeah.
am carrying your baby. I am doing this for us. Yes, those will come at the end. We will talk about this. So I was wanting to talk about something positive,
Yeah.
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 right? So
Yes.
I admired that extra attention that I craved for it more.
Mhm.
And I had to do little things. I had to manipulate little things to get it
Yeah, we
more.
agree you manipulated. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah,
That's the only point I was trying to get.
That's
Yeah.
the part that is
Ghana is
coming.
interested in.
Yeah. No,
so,
I love how I agree that I manipulated him. That's the point.
so I
Ghana, I
think
fixed it.
so. I think what I hear is that from everyone, except Ghana, you want to chip in
About what?
about
Changes in
those
men?
positive changes, like
Yeah,
as
a woman is really ready for pregnancy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because the instincts for men and women are different for pregnancy. Women are looking to nurture, to cajole. A man is thinking like, how am I going to provide for the extra human being? So
Yeah.
it has a different kind of pressure for men than it is for women. When my wife told me she was pregnant, automatically I like, how am I going to provide? Like, what others like? What other sorts of income is gonna come in so that we can be able to meet the needs, not just for us of ourselves, but also of the baby. So there are two different instincts in my judgment.
so
Yeah.
we are looking at
The positives.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any positive, to be frank.
you
So I
didn't
can-
bond more with
Huh?
your wife when she was
Yeah,
pregnant and when
I
the
think-
kid first came.
I think I was more caring. I don't know. Maybe I just had to grow to be more loving and caring and stuff like that. I don't know. let's just say there were things that I knew that naturally I had to step up to do.
Yeah.
You can call it positive, but let's say rose to the challenge. So
I think that there is a flexibility and a creativity in that process.
Yeah.
right.
You might
Very
not see
correct.
that you were caring
Yeah.
to your wife, but you were.
Yeah.
But you don't want to acknowledge that you were caring.
Oh, okay. Yes, I was caring.
You were
I thought,
caring.
yeah.
You thinking that, oh, what are we gonna do to provide for the third
Right.
As
mouth?
part of that.
That's enough.
It made
care.
you grow, right?
That's big.
And speaking to your point, it makes you more innovative in looking at ways to make more money for your family too.
Right.
So maybe that was something
So
that
the
was positive. for
Flexibility
me.
and creativity is huge when a third
Yeah.
party is being added. That's where you start seeing how each person is doing their
And
part.
this speaks a lot to the dynamics between men and women. You guys easily identify the positives of pregnancy. It's a struggle for men.
Because we are tied to our emotions.
Another
easily.
thing is the fact that you said you became more caring,
Right.
because you had to think of the fact that you had to step up. And
Yeah.
I think, like, for
That's
men,
positive.
the first instinct is always an aha moment, like,
Yeah.
hey. But then when you sit a little bit and think, it's always situational though. You think about it, then it becomes a motivation
Yeah.
Mm.
in a positive way, where you think
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I think that's.
yeah,
I think I
a
got it.
kid is coming. And when it's motivation that is positive, then it's good, because that's when the brain starts thinking
Yeah.
of being supportive,
Right.
right?
Motivation to work hard, to
Exactly.
be innovative
Yeah.
in terms of
So
provision and stuff.
And
like
because you're visual, you don't see the baby yet.
that. Yeah, exactly.
So the wife carries it, she
And she
feels
feels
it.
the baby.
So it's a different child.
Yeah.
a different
Let,
feeling.
let me,
It's
let me
very
ask you
feeling.
guys, let me guys ask you guys a question. Maybe Marilyn can chip in. Do you, when you're pregnant, like, do you think of the provision of how this baby's gonna buy diapers or whatever? Is that something that comes to your thought as a priority, or you just say like, let me have a safe pregnancy?
To me, I just want to have a safe pregnancy. Everything will take care of itself.
Yeah, whether the man goes and dig shit to get money somewhere.
I know the provision will be there. I
Yeah,
just know
right.
that.
You know what?
Yeah.
First of all, I do think, like, we all,
Yeah.
especially the women, I don't know for men,
Yeah.
the first thing we pray for is to have a healthy baby
Yeah.
and a healthy pregnancy. We really don't care if the provisions are going to be there
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
But just the fact that you're praying that you have a healthy baby
Yeah.
gives you already, like, it handles like 70% of the problem.
Yeah.
Having the baby then comes in is another thing for another day. But then I'm starting to think, like, if you are the lady in that relationship that has a job, it's nothing to panic about. And you, the man, I want to think, like, I know Ghana was very strong on this. We are the providers, we are the providers, we are the providers. If I have a job,
Yeah.
Ghana,
Yeah.
and I think that I'm stable,
Yeah.
with a baby coming,
Yeah.
I will not panic.
Right. But you have to leave your job to take care of the baby.
Now
No.
you have allowances and all that.
You have all that
Taken
support in
care
this
of.
part of the world. If it's back home, I'm gonna
No,
panic.
the point is you have to leave your job and take care of the baby.
No, you don't have to leave a job, because you have almost a year of mad leave
You have a year
with
of mat leave.
support.
I'm talking about that here. And it's not just that year. Think of all the
Can I
times that the baby grows up and you have to take time off work to take care
Oh,
of the baby.
It is one thing when you're abroad, and it's another thing when you're in Cameroon,
yeah.
or when you are in even abroad as a single parent without the other spouse around, or when there is trouble in the home and you find that you're even in a home with a man but you're by yourself,
Right.
when that communication doesn't go well.
Mhm.
So in the case where you are a single mother, pregnancy brings a lot of changes. One, finances.
Yeah.
Even if you are working,
Yeah.
it becomes stressful because you want to start gathering resources.
Exactly.
A part of a woman thinks like a man in the absence of a man.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that sixth sense comes in. You keep your emotions by the side, especially when you have friends that will tell you reality. If it's your first child, your friends will tell you how maternity income works in Canada. It is small, especially
It
for
doesn't
those
cover
that are
anything.
used to use salary. It doesn't cover anything. So you start depending on your support systems, your sisters in the community and your brothers in the community. If you're in a community that is good, your child will have some basic needs before he turns to an age that you can leave him to go work.
Yeah.
Then we forget about child care. So if you are pregnant and you're a single mother, your financial sixth sense, which is what the man thinks of
Mm-hmm.
when you as a woman are pregnant, when you're thinking of the safety of the baby, you start thinking about that same financial issue.
Right.
So you are working for two.
Yeah.
So it is stressful for people that are by themselves.
Mm.
And that is why we encourage community to stand up for others.
Right. Think that
I can hear
women,
you.
yeah, women who are married or in a serious relationship, they take the contribution of a husband lightly than single parents.
Example about my first son when we were in Germany. My husband's scholarship was running out. Then we had no source. Then
Yeah.
I had applied for my own scholarship. I was pregnant.
Yeah.
We were living in a school hostel with no source of income on how we would do when the baby comes.
Yeah.
Marilyn mentioned about being positive.
Mhm.
From the man's side, I would say he was going through his own challenges during that time, because he was wondering. I never asked him these questions, but I would, right now reflecting back, he had some thoughts about that.
Yeah.
From my side, we had nothing. I had just applied for scholarship so that they could sponsor me to do my master's. I was pregnant then. I was trusting that they would give me that scholarship so we can move from the hostel, one room,
To a
to
bigger
a
place,
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so fortunate that it happened. So we were relying on one source of income.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether you're single,
No.
you can rely on one. They could
Yeah.
be couples,
Still relying on
but they
one,
could still be support because the man is there to
Mhm.
say cook sometimes and
Yeah.
help you around. We cannot compare both
Right.
situations. But we
you go,
were
Bella. That is
fortunate that we had one source to even start with when we had the baby, and that was what we depended on.
Yeah.
So it also comes to how you guys will address the finance that you are given when the baby comes.
Yeah.
So we could source secondhand. He was very fast in sourcing those second hands, so we could help the baby.
Yeah.
So we were just flexible. That's where you saw the flexibility came in with how we spend money and
Yeah.
how we could help each other.
Yeah.
So
So I would say in conclusion that
Yeah.
what I gather is that, you know, having a child kind of gives the couple or the parties at least a common purpose.
Yeah.
yeah.
And because there's a common purpose, people typically come together to achieve that purpose, which
Yeah.
is this child that they now have, right?
Right.
And I also hear that it helps build bond within the couple. Which so those are the good things that come out of that,
That
right?
kind of
Yeah.
that.
I think what we want to go into now, which I think everyone is waiting for, is now we want to
especially.
have we want to have a conversation about some of the challenges or some of the negatives or the difficulties, right? I read somewhere that that a fifth of couples break up during the first 12 months after welcoming a new baby. Do we think that relationships are weaker after a baby comes, generally
You wanna go
speaking?
first?
And again, we're not talking about pregnant. We're talking about the baby is here now,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And what is that for that relationship? So does it make it weaker, you think? Because they say a fifth of couples divorce
I
after that.
honestly, I don't think it makes it weaker. It just depends on how the couple can handle pressure individually and how they perceive what challenges are and
Yeah.
how ready they are to stand up to those challenges. So it has, for me, I would say, from my perspective, it's not because they're weak. There are people that can stand up to challenges.
Yeah.
Why?
The relationship, not the people.
Okay. Sorry. There are people that turn to not be really capable of managing pressure
Yeah.
in their relationship. And I do say this because we are individuals, we are different. And a good example is the fact that sometimes the relationship goes weaker because it's a very common example though. When you have a baby, I don't know, even if it's natural birth or through C-section, you need some time to heal.
Yeah.
From the part of the man, he expects you to give him sex. That's just an example, I'm telling you. And it's a natural thing that comes for men. You're not gonna slow his sex drive because you've had a baby or not. But then, how many men have the capacity to control that? Is where it all starts. You, the woman on your part, is giving yourself time to heal. Healing from not just the coming of the baby, but from all what it involves. Taking care of the baby, having late nights, trying to figure out what your sleep schedule will be. You know, putting all these things together, that's why you see some women suffer from postpartum stress or depression after birth. And the man is there just trying to wrap his head around the fact that, do I have to cheat now, or how do I get the cookie? You know what I mean? This is just a common example.
Oh, it's very common.
It happens,
and I'm happy you brought that point up.
Yes, it happens to a lot of couples. And sometimes, because some men are not that patient, some men are not that understanding, you're not going to blame that on anybody. It makes them grow apart. Because, for sure, if you're married to someone, sex is one of the things, whether you agree today or tomorrow or disagree with me today or tomorrow, it's one of the things that you will never push aside. It doesn't matter what. Exactly. People will argue about. Sometimes it's just the silent treatment if you refuse to do it. But it's for both parties, you know. So the relationships, they become stressful because of one aspect which is just sex that I've mentioned. So people need to be more capable and more open-minded.
So
to
you
be
think
able to go
sex
through this.
is the main dividing?
Sex is but for me, it's one of the most important, especially when we say the relationship
It starts dividing.
goes apart. Like somebody actually walks out of a relationship because the man is not very patient to know that this woman might be going through a postpartum depression. The woman also is asking themselves why this person cannot come to understand that I just had a baby and I'm trying to heal, and they're putting all this pressure on me when I'm already handling this, you know. Well, that's just the first tip for me. Bella, you can come.
Bella can come.
You want to expatiate on? You want to talk a little bit more on this, on the sex or their lack of sex in that relationship, or are you going to talk about something else?
Something. So she
we'll come back to
she
sex.
mentioned about the body. From my own experience, when the baby left me, I felt like something abandoned me. But that was not something that I could talk with the man because I felt he would not understand what was happening with me. The other part is, even though the woman feels that way and cannot communicate it, the comfort is the baby. They bring the attention to what they just give birth to, because that one doesn't judge them. So with the late nights and the other things that come with it, of course she already mentioned that. The big challenge that comes is that it exposed everyone. There were things that were hidden under the carpet. When the third party, the baby came, it's not because of that baby. Some other things that were hidden, the baby came and exposed them. So if people break up after that, it's not that baby.
I mean, the baby can be a trigger.
Trigger.
Yes, that's the right word.
They are always triggers.
Yeah.
The baby is the trigger, but we will not say because we gave birth to a baby, then we separated. The baby triggered something that was already something that was hidden, and communication is a big thing that is lacking among our community. I can't say I'm a good communicator. I'm learning. We are all learning. But that's something we have to emphasize all the time. These are things that we had before the baby came out. The baby come out, it exposes it. How do we welcome it? That's another point. The sex part, to me, it depends how you want your sex. Because some people want to sex only at night. If you, before marriage, if you were flexible on how your sex life should be, I know the woman, the way the sex happens is different. The first couple of weeks, you cannot be sleeping with your wife because the baby just came out. How would you even enjoy it? You didn't. If you witness how the baby came out, you would even be scared to see. To go into the same.
So men don't care.
Okay, I'm assuming that.
Most men.
Most men don't care.
No, most men care. Really.
Most men care.
We cannot really brush the men.
But most men care.
Most men care. They want it, but they will just care because you just went through something.
Yeah.
It's how we work together to make it happen now. To me, I will call you anywhere. Maybe it was after a couple of months that I could ask.
Couple of months.
Couple of months, yes. 2 months, 3 months is good. You cannot have it the first couple of days.
There's,
Oh yeah, no, we're not
there's
talking about
this-
days, but then you made it stretch couple of months.
Couple of months could be 2 months,
Okay,
could be
let's
1
get
month.
Marilyn, then we're
Marilyn
gonna
will
respond.
We'll go back to that.
They were gonna respond, Marilyn.
For bringing out the fact that the baby doesn't trigger problems in homes, because there are some other relationships that will break up without a child.
That's right.
So the baby only exposes what it means to a man to have another person in his space, and what it means to the woman having another person in their space. Some men are actually very jealous of their own child, because we as the woman, we tend to nurture too much that new human being that grew up inside of us. We want to know them more. And sometimes we neglect the fact that we had that baby with a man. The baby becomes our full focus. And we turn to push our husbands away. If your husband is a light sleeper, you hear the woman will say, "Well, babe, go sleep for the other room. No, Pikin go wake up, cry, it go wake up you." Make the Pikin wake up the man. Let the child wake up the man. Let the man make that decision. Or the man will also say, "Oh, because this baby cries too much, I'm going to keep late nights." These things, they start building a push away. But I'd like to take us back. Sometimes it doesn't just happen because the baby is born. Those things were happening during that stretch, the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester, but we were not paying attention, because like a woman, you're secretly praying that the baby will come, and you can use that baby to manipulate your husband to be a better man, to be a better father, because his name will change from husband to father. So these things, the problems, the breakup has been existing. The pressure just mounted because there's a third party.
Yeah.
It is not the third party's fault. It is exposing a lot.
Yeah.
So to me, every relationship that was doomed at the beginning will be doomed somewhere to separate. It will come to separation and even divorce. So it just depends on how we get a sense on how to handle issues. Maybe pregnancy can be a time that couples can actually go for counseling and release all that negative feelings before their baby comes. But as patient, will always go back to our culture. How were we groomed to enjoy the role of becoming a parent?
Yeah.
Our men or our boys saw how our parents were King Kong. They will come home. They have 8 kids. Every child is crying. The mother has to struggle between all these 8 children. Struggle with cooking, struggle with cleaning, and present food to the dad. He was sitting there reading a newspaper. My brothers think that is what is going to happen in their marriage. Their wife is going to do everything for them. So many boys do think of that. And now we have a different perception of what it actually means to be a parent. And we cannot fit into the things we were thinking will make us leaders in our home as men. So we need to have a conversation. I cannot come out of the hospital with a 2-day, 3-day-old baby. I had a C-section. Maybe I have too many complications. I have like a JP drain and everything, and you want sex.
Yeah.
My friend, we need to talk about that.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna dwell on sex a little bit here.
And
I'm going to talk about sex. I'm going to talk about the sex part.
Mhm.
It is not a bad thing for the man to want sex. The changes in a woman's body makes a man very attracted to her. Pregnancy changes in a woman's body. If your wife was once slim, she becomes really curvy, especially around her waist. You start admiring her differently. And there is this sweet oil that comes out from a woman that just delivered a baby. She looks really bright. She looks really happy. I think that she has extra hormones.
I disagree.
I
I disagree.
Which
And
planet? I don't know.
I
What planet?
totally
Let's
disagree
hear
with
from
you.
the men. Let's hear from the men.
What
No,
planet
no,
are
no,
women
wait,
coming
let
from
her
after
land.
babies
Let her
and
land.
Doing all that. No, I don't know. Go ahead.
some men, okay, I would say my husband was really, really attracted to me, and he told me that after having a baby, I looked different, and he was really attracted to me. But he had to wait. We had that conversation.
Yeah.
We had to wait because I had an emergency C-section, so my body was going through a lot.
Yeah.
And also, we are talking about before and after, or during pregnancy. If there was no sex during pregnancy, there is that expectation that there will be sex after pregnancy. But it does not just happen. Like Bella said, we have to communicate. So when my husband told me how attracted he was to me, I reminded him of what the doctor said. You need to let your wound heal. My husband was the one that was struggling at that time to take me to every appointment we had because he wanted to ask the
Ulterior
doctor,
motives.
is our body ready? Is our body ready? Right? You see that excitement. So you as well can chip into his mindset and be like, babe, we still have to wait. I'm still struggling. So if you have that conversation, it takes the pressure away.
Yeah.
Apart from just sex, there are other things that can make you guys like really bond. There is kissing, there is romance. Sex must not be the only thing that must happen. Like penetration must not be the only thing. And when we're talking about sex, we're all adults. There's also oral sex for those who perform it.
Yeah.
If my man can go to the bathroom and masturbate, I can help him masturbate. But that is
that's
if
not
we're
oral
having a
sex.
conversation. That's what I'm saying. That there are other types of sex that we can
Oh, I get your
perform.
point.
I am not ready.
Okay.
I am not ready to have intercourse, but I'm ready for us to have oral sex.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it should be a conversation in a home.
Yeah. Good point.
Yes. Before you.
Rather than that, my man can go out there and be cheating, and that will still break us up. Let's have that conversation and try to accommodate it before it gets out of hand.
Right.
Okay. Before you guys come in,
Right.
there is something I want to add, and this just goes back to the question Asong had asked before we started. Like, are people getting into marriage just to have kids, right?
Yeah.
When we think about the before and the after, Marilyn did mention something. There's one more thing. I know you guys were laughing when she said, this woman becomes fresh after
More
she gives
attractive, yeah.
birth, more attractive, and
Yeah.
you guys were laughing. No,
I disagree.
you are disagreeing, but it's the truth. One thing she did not mention that I'll add to her list is the fact that when you look at the woman, even the breast becomes more perkier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, that's true.
he is saying Jesus Christ.
that-
That's so
no,
true.
that's-
No, it's true, but it's. I'm thinking which man sits down and looks at his wife's
First of
breast
all,
and think about that
sex.
when he knows.
Exactly.
She just had a
Wait,
baby.
let me land. Let
who
me
does
land.
that?
And this boils down to the fact that you have some mature men that have that control over what they think and how they feel and how fast they think their women can heal after having a baby. And you also have these people that are so immature that they get into marriage thinking that the woman will not change even before or after babies.
Yeah.
And then when you give birth, this expectation comes like, oh, I don't think that was so difficult. I'm ready to have you. No,
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And if I'm not ready, you shouldn't put that pressure on me because at that time the focus needs to be that
On the
kid.
baby, yeah.
The priority is that baby, and
Right.
if there is anything that's gonna actually affect that baby, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go for it
Yeah.
because at the time the pleasure for sex lasts for like a minute for some people.
Yeah.
And you're gonna take a minute's pleasure
Yeah.
to destroy a woman's life or a child's life.
Destroy. That's
yes,
right.
and-
A strong word.
I also want you to think about the fact that how does it feel having sex with a woman that's not emotionally there? It's something you need to think about.
okay.
Because physically she could be there, emotionally she is not. And does that drive you guys more apart from each other?
The emotional part.
Yes,
The lack
yes,
of
it
emotion,
does.
the
The
lack
lack
of
of the
that.
fact
No, it
that
doesn't.
she the lack the part
It drives a woman, maybe, but not a guy.
Drives the woman away.
and that is what I'm saying. It keeps you separate, and that is why sometimes your woman will come up with the
woman, not the
excuses
man.
that, babe, could you sleep in the other room? Yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. So,
Patient,
God,
Passy, there's
Yeah.
something I would like to just chip in. I understand that we're not talking for the majority of women, we're not talking for the majority of men, we're talking about the ones we know. Some women will actually be the ones craving that sex over that man. And that man will remind that woman that he just had a baby, he just had an episiotomy, he just had a C-section, and she'll be like, I don't tire for it. So they are very different and unique situations. Sometimes the man may come across like he has no feeling for the woman because he wants to satisfy his cravings. But remember, there are also some women that also want to satisfy their cravings. If not, we will not have women who have kids back to back
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
they were
we
not
do
raped.
not have the,
It
we
could still
cannot
be.
say
It could
that
still be
all
that the
of them
man
were not
wanted
ready.
the sex and the woman
Didn't. Or
gave
had
consent,
given.
gave
I
Right.
have a
into
I
it,
have
so
a
it could
I have
work
a
both
scenario.
ways.
I have a scenario where my friend actually wanted the sex over the husband and she got pregnant. And the man told her, I'm going to put a placard in front of your face that said, I could not wait. So
Yeah,
it's both ways.
yeah.
It's not a man's fault, it's not a woman's fault. It just depends who you are with at that point
Yeah.
in time and what communications you're having.
Okay.
No, I just decided to talk about it depending on the reaction that I got from
Oh, we're gonna react. Yeah.
from our host when you had mentioned that the woman even becomes more sexier
Yeah.
after having a child. And really, let's just look at this from a perspective where we are dealing here with two people.
Yeah.
It takes two people to tango, as they say. For that relationship to work, it takes two. When you find that people start getting different feelings after childbirth,
Yeah.
then, as Bella rightly said, the child was a trigger to many other things that was already.
But I
In
think all
there.
the different feelings are normal. It just depends on how you guys react to them, right? Because we cannot understand how you carry the child and put for the baby, and then you're taking care. Men cannot get into the women's brain to understand that, and likewise, women cannot get into a man's brain to understand how a man is feeling. The changes are normal, but the adaptation is where I feel like the problem.
I can't
That's-
speak for myself.
Right.
I can't. You know why?
You go in your
Because you
mind.
guys are very visual.
Right. But okay, let's go to the visual part and the sexual part. Do you think a breastfeeding breast is attractive?
No.
Thank you. No, I don't think so.
I don't-
think a man looks at a woman
any
who's
man-
breastfeeding
any
a baby
man-
and say, "Oh, your breast."
No,
looks
any
attractive."
man
No.
who does that has a serious problem.
Are,
Should
I don't
are
think
you
so.
are you guys thinking about, because it's not the visual part of it, it's the fact that you guys somewhere in your brain is that that milk is not gonna touch my
No,
mouth.
that's another part. That's the main part too. Most men don't like to taste
That's
it.
the part I realized
No,
that
but the
it will
thing
not
is-
be
but
attractive because
Yes.
of the food that is in.
Minus
Exactly.
that, the breast that are just whipping out the nipple is different from the child sucking. I don't think any man really
So
find that.
because you don't want to share with another person that
Yeah.
part.
Should you
And
be
it's all
sharing
about
with
the
a
sharing,
baby?
Bella.
No, you don't
Thank
want to
you.
do that because men don't like to share what they have.
No,
with
we
someone.
don't find it
it's-
attractive. No.
it's just not the point.
It's just
is
not
the-
attractive.
If milk was not coming out, would you still not want it?
We want it.
Okay. So now
After the baby,
now
after the baby
it's
is
because the
new,
baby
they
is
go back to
using
it.
the breast milk. That's why it doesn't look attractive,
Yeah, because the baby is using it and all the changes that come with it.
and it's taking your attention.
It's not that it's taking the attention.
Somebody
it's
has taken it over you.
maybe a part of that play.
Let's not use the word.
Breastfeeding breast is not really attractive.
Let's not
Because
use.
somebody's
Let's not
using
use.
it on
Yes,
your
let's
behalf.
not use the
Not
word.
necessarily.
Let's not use that word use.
Yeah, but no, but the baby is using the breast.
the baby needs
Baby
needs it.
Let's not use that word use.
the baby is using. Oh, what's the baby doing?
Does that affect you after the baby stop using it? That's why you don't find the women's breast,
Breast.
has
The-
I
fallen.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that
no,
could
the-
be one of it.
No, the
Yeah.
point is
But
this.
no one is gonna open up to say,
They-
"Oh, that's why." Oh,
Okay,
no.
let's put it this way: for you, get in the man's
Get
brain in a little bit.
understanding.
In a little bit,
Yes.
a breastfeeding breast and a non-breastfeeding breast. Which one do you think a man will go for?
Non-breastfeeding
Oh,
breast.
thank you.
who
I would
why
not
is-
even wanna
Patience,
thinking about putting myself in the man's head like now. I'm like,
yeah.
no, I can't even touch that.
Yeah.
the point is this. The breast is how it is because it's there to serve a purpose.
Yeah, for the baby.
Good.
There is no reason why I should be interested in it. There is
At
no
that
reason why
particular
I
time.
should find it
Attractive.
sexy or
Yeah.
attractive at all because it's that way for a purpose.
Right, exactly.
That is the there's no way
That's
I
the
would
purpose of the breast.
Yeah.
Yes.
To breastfeed.
The baby.
at that time that is the
Okay.
purpose.
What before you didn't find it attractive?
Who sees a woman breastfeeding and
and say,
gets
"Oh,
aroused?
you're so
From-
sexy."
Unless you were sick. I keep saying, unless you have a problem,
yeah,
that will not arouse you in any way.
Can I say something?
yeah,
Yeah.
You know what? All these arguments here is just comes with perception. It's the way you look at it. And that's why I keep insisting, let's not use the word
Use.
What is it?
when a baby is born.
Right.
The baby comes with that food.
The
Right.
baby brings it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we come to terms with the fact that, oh my gosh, the baby came with his food. It's their right to have their food. And I do understand completely that you, as the man and the mature adult in this relationship, should be able to understand. We just spoke in the last episode about leadership.
Yeah.
What are some of the skills of a leader? It applies
Can I
in
make an
wait,
observation? I
wait,
feel like
wait,
the
let me
argument has
finish.
changed. It's
No.
like you guys are the ones supporting sex now, and we are not.
No. It hasn't changed. I just want you to come to a point where you men cannot stand that sight. You men cannot even think that the purpose of the breast milk that's coming out from the breast is with the coming of the baby, and that is why the baby needs to stay on there. I am saying it all has to do with perception, because there are men out there that will still go for the breast.
Yeah. The man has
But
a problem.
what's the role of
They
the
don't
breast?
have a
They
problem.
do.
What's the role of a breast in having sex?
It's a sexual organ.
It's a sexual organ.
Right,
Yeah.
And the part that your penis is going in is not the breast, so we
It's
can
not.
still keep the breast
Well, that's
aside.
another important part. But the breast is the side. It's a side to the meal.
Is a side to the male to arouse the woman or to
Yeah.
If
As a
if
man.
you're hoping to, if you're
And the
hoping
woman,
to
and the woman.
arouse, if you're hoping to do that, you'd have to use it,
Yeah.
right?
right.
But my point is, why would you even want? For me, I don't know. Maybe this is how I grew up, and this is what I heard when I grew up. I heard, and it could be completely wrong. But when I grew, I heard that if you have sex with a woman who is breastfeeding, you spoil the baby's food. You spoil the milk. I don't know how true that is, and I don't. It might be completely wrong.
Yeah, I
It
think it's
is.
wrong, yeah.
It is
Yeah.
completely wrong.
Yeah.
But I think they use that to tell our parents
To stay away.
to stay away. That was the only reason. Probably, maybe that was the
Yeah.
only reason you could use to tell them to not want to have sex, which made a lot of sense.
It made sense.
To me, it made a lot of sense. And even when I had my kids, when that was the rule, I was told that it doesn't happen.
Wow.
But for me, that is how I convinced myself to not want to have anything
So how
to do.
did that help? How did that work for you?
Worked well.
Can I just
Because you
chip in
had
something
believed.
to answer?
Okay, let's go to Marilyn.
Marilyn wants to say something.
Well, I think you have a point. The food that the baby has to eat, or the man sucking out of that breast, or having sex with that woman. One of my friends actually told me that when she was 3 months, when she had a baby, her baby was 3 months. The 4th month, she found out that she was pregnant. And her baby that was normally not very fuzzy became very fuzzy and did not want to breastfeed.
Mhm.
And that is how the baby got weaned, because when that baby became too fuzzy, she became emotional and she started throwing up. So she went to the doctor and found out she was pregnant, which kind of like attests to the fact that a lot of things will happen to a woman's system when she starts sleeping with a man and when she starts giving that breast milk to the man.
Yeah.
It happens to some people, it doesn't happen to every other person. And some women do not actually breastfeed their kids.
Yeah.
That's
So it is different from them. Some women will wean the kids early.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm saying that everyone is different. I know of a case where the man told the woman not to breastfeed the baby because he wanted the milk to dry up so he can enjoy the woman. So
Yeah, the
there
men
are
do
so many things. There are so many things that are hidden underneath our carpet or under the roofs of so many homes that I wish that people could actually call into this show and talk about their personal experiences. Because we are like touching a lot of things lightly, but these are the negative things or the challenges that
Yeah.
some of the women and some of the men face in their home.
Yeah.
Some of the women had to stop breastfeeding their babies because they wanted to breastfeed their husband, and they had to force those kids to milk and stuff.
Yeah.
And if you don't accept to doing that, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
How do you save a home that you really want to nurture?
Yeah.
So it is with mixed emotions. If you have an understanding husband, you are blessed. If you don't have one, you're still blessed, but you're harboring a curse in your house.
Okay.
is exactly my
Good point there, Merlin. So let's just yes or no. Is breastfeeding breast attractive sexually to men? What do you think?
I cannot say because I'm not a man.
What do you think? We're just asking women what they think.
I do think that it is.
Bye.
It's the first time I'm hearing about breastfeeding being attractive to men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe because I haven't heard
Yeah.
it before, but this is first and new,
Yeah.
and we would want to ask more men.
So
if
yes
it
or
is-
no? What we're just asking you to think like a man.
Or think like a man. I would say yes.
Okay, Marilyn.
I would say it is not the process of producing that milk that is exciting to the men. It is just the growth, how the thighs have grown that is attractive to a man.
That's
what
I
not
said.
Yes,
actually the
not the milk.
So yes or no? A breastfeeding breast is attracted to a man.
So a breastfeeding breast is attractive to men.
Okay.
That's what I
Okay,
said.
okay.
Men are visual. They look at it and they
Well,
say, "Oh,
you hear from a man's
looks good.
perspective, we say no.
They say no.
okay."
Okay, so let's go. What happens in terms of sex? Well, we touched on this lightly. In terms of sex, when a baby comes in, how do you guys feel when you have a baby and the demands of sex from your partners?
For me, actually, it's different because I do have 3, and all of them are C-sections.
Yeah,
So for me, it's completely different. I've never had a natural birth,
right.
but for me, I do need like 6 weeks, no touch,
No touching,
nothing.
yeah.
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 Because the wound is still there, it's still hurting, and
Yeah.
it's something that I need to heal completely.
Sure.
So for me, I know in my case, my husband respects that.
Yeah.
And most of the times, I don't know his needs, and I know how to handle the needs. So he
That's
doesn't
the
need
big
to
woman
go.
talking, yeah.
Yes, he doesn't need to go down there to get that release
Yeah.
that he wants. I could do whatever I want to give him what he
Every
wants.
means necessary.
Yes, and he is very satisfied with that.
Yeah.
So I don't have a pressure. I don't have the pressure of
Yeah.
experiencing the fact that, oh, he needs to go down
Right,
there, he
yeah.
needs to go in there. No. If he wants the goodness, I can give it to him the way he
Divine,
wants
yeah.
without going in there.
Did you feel any pressure? Did you feel any feeling to have sex within that
Any
period?
rush?
No.
For yourself, I mean for yourself.
Honestly, for myself, no.
No. Okay.
Because at that time, the pain
yeah,
is
it was
just like
you
it
were
erases,
clouded, yeah.
it crowds your mind, and you don't even want to think about it. And for me, if I want to have my goodness, I want it complete and I want it full.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want anything
Pain-free, yeah.
to manage here and there.
Yeah.
That's me. So I don't want to think about it
Of
if I'm not
course, that's
fully
why we're
engaged.
personal.
Yeah.
Ebai,
Good.
we're getting real.
You
Yeah.
know, women, most part don't ask for sex. They
Yeah.
don't look at their man like, I want you now.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
I
the
agree.
truth.
Yeah.
That's why we find sex after pregnancy like a big thing.
Mm.
Because oh my God, now like this, because I have this thing happening. But when you during pregnancy or before, we're asking, then when you can communicate with the man that the man is already aware that if you want something, you will ask, and he will also ask. So when the baby comes now, there is a struggle because you never asked before, you never talked about it. The man is worried. The man is worried that if he asks you for sex, then
Yeah.
there will be problem because you're feeling the pain. From my own experience, I asked for sex. So I asked for sex. So when I gave birth, maybe that was what created the calmness. But when I gave birth, there was a time. Then I asked when I was ready.
When you were ready, yeah.
Yes, I asked, and we had it not in the night when every other thing always happens. It has to be a room where you create to have it anywhere, so that when the time comes, the baby is sleeping in the room, it doesn't hinder you. So when there's a time that you cannot have it, you tell the man you can't. The man understands. So it's just a flexibility of us opening up to our men. From what I can advise someone, open up to your man, so that when you are not able to, you can open up and say, I can't have it. And there could be some understanding. I can't know the level, but I could put it back to the men to say if that's something that would help them. But from a woman's perspective, there ought to be a healing in that area because it's still painful. I
Yeah.
didn't give birth through C-section. It was natural. And when it's natural, it heals very fast.
You could,
And I
yeah.
craved for it. I wanted it. I asked,
Yeah.
we keep the baby somewhere and we do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that we are all meeting our needs
Right.
whenever it was needed. But
Yeah. Another question: do you feel like and Marilyn can join in? Do you feel like the libido of women drop when they have children?
Less.
Mine didn't drop.
Yours didn't drop? Yeah.
Mine, no. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm still analyze that, but I don't think
Yeah.
so.
Well, I think libido after having a baby depends on you, the woman,
Yes.
how you perceive yourself, how
Yes.
well you're ready to know that pregnancy will bring changes to your body. You're no more that lady that used to wear a two-piece bikini. Maybe now you have stretch marks. Maybe now you have a falling stomach. Maybe now your stomach is protruded and you can't feel comfortable. So just like Bella said, it is always having that talk.
Mhm.
If you are confident in yourself that pregnancy changed me, and when I look at my kids I am blessed to have them, then your libido is not affected or cannot be affected, or you've looked for ways to make it better.
Right.
But once you are not confident in your own self, and then you start naming, blaming, and shaming yourself with your wounds or your scars of pregnancy, that would have been something that you will count and praise God for.
Yeah.
Then your libido drops because you think your man sees
Yeah.
you the way you see yourself.
Yeah.